Have you heard that a NASA spacecraft once had to be rescued because, well, the astronauts accidentally programmed it with a map of Australia? Upside down! It happened on May 29, 1999. NASA's Mars Climate Orbiter disintegrated in the Martian atmosphere due to what might be the most expensive unit conversion error in history. Seems that engineers at Lockheed Martin provided thrust measurements in pound force, but NASA's team assumed they were in newtons, causing the spacecraft to orbit 100 kilometers closer to Mars than they planned. The $125 million spacecraft was lost forever. And even more embarrassing, a review found the problem would have been caught if anyone had noticed that the spacecraft's projected path showed Australia upside down on the navigation displays. That's one expensive geography lesson. Have you heard? May 28th is National Hamburger Day. Yeah. Would you like fries with that? Anyway, while we all love a good burger, did you know the hamburger's origin story is more controversial than a celebrity scandal? The town of Seymour, Wisconsin claims that 15-year-old Charlie Negreen invented it back in 1885 when he squashed a meatball between bread slices to make it portable. But the Library of Congress officially recognizes Louis Lasson of New Haven, Connecticut, as the inventor in 1900. Meanwhile, Athens, Texas, and Hamburg, New York, also claim burger bragging rights. It's the only food with more origin stories than Batman, and definitely tastier. Have you heard on May 30th, 1431, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake for heresy? But here's something they don't teach you in history class. Her heart wouldn't burn. Yeah. After her execution, the English were so determined to prevent anyone from collecting relics that they burned her body not once, not twice, but 3 times, and then scattered her ashes in the Seine River. However, witnesses reported that despite repeated burning, her heart remained intact. This led to rumors that she was either protected by divine intervention or, as local superstition held, proof that she was innocent of witchcraft, as a witch's heart was believed to be immune to fire. Talk about a fiery legacy. Have you heard on May 31st, 1975, the European Space Agency was officially established? But here's a space oddity you probably didn't know. The ESA has an official space graveyard in the Pacific Ocean. Known as Point Nemo, it's the most remote spot on planet Earth, the farthest point from any land. Over 300 spacecraft, including Russia's Mir space station, have been deliberately crashed there since 1971. Point Nemo is so isolated that the closest humans are often astronauts on the International Space Station, passing 258 miles overhead. So the next time someone asks where old satellites go to die, you'll have the answer. Point Nemo! Have you heard that May 26th marks the birthday of Dracula? No, not the vampire, the novel. On this day in 1897, Bram Stoker's Gothic masterpiece was first published, but the book almost never saw the light of day. Stoker spent 7 years researching European folklore and vampire myths before writing it. The character's name wasn't even his original idea. Stoker had initially named his vampire Count Vampire before discovering Dracula in a book about Romanian history. The name means son of the dragon, and it belonged to a real-life 15th century ruler named Vlad the Impaler. And even more surprising, Stoker never visited Eastern Europe. His vivid descriptions of Transylvania came entirely from library research. And despite defining vampire fiction for generations, the book was only a modest success during Stoker's lifetime. He died nearly broke, never knowing his creation would become one of literature's most enduring monsters. And have you heard on May 27th, 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge opened to pedestrians with over 200,000 people crossing on the very first day. But here's the bizarre part. The bridge's distinctive international orange color was never actually supposed to be permanent. It was just the primer coat applied to protect the steel during shipping. Consulting architect Irving Morrow happened to see the primer, and he loved how it complemented the natural surroundings and enhance the bridge's visibility in fog. The Navy had originally wanted it painted in black and yellow stripes for visibility. Can you imagine that? Sometimes the most iconic decisions happen completely by accident. And finally, June 1st is National Heimlich Maneuver Day. I was planning to attend a special demonstration at the local community center, but it was choked with people. The instructor tried to start with a joke, but it got stuck in his throat. His assistant had to step in to help, but she couldn't get him to cough it up. They finally brought out a training dummy, but someone in the front row thought it was choking for real, and they yelled, "Is there a doctor in the house?" 3 doctors stood up simultaneously and bumped heads trying to get to the dummy. The whole event was a real breathtaker. Remember, folks, this life-saving technique is nothing to gag at. It's already saved over 100,000 lives since Dr. Heimlich introduced it in 1974. And that's all for today's edition of Have You Heard? Please leave a comment if you learned something mind-boggling. I'm Troy W. Hudson, the voiceover with personality. Until next time, stay curious.